What is going on, Multiversers? Welcome back to the channel. Today's the day Multiversus is officially launched. So one thing you're gonna want to make sure you take care of are your controller settings, because these will be game changers, I promise you. And we got quite a few to go over, so let's jump into it. How do you find that setting? Well, look up in the upper right hand part of your screen. It'll tell you whatever button. So I'm on PS5, so it's like my little, I still call it the start pause menu button, but there you go, right into settings. I keep getting invited to Multiversus, what a surprise. First controller setting that we're gonna go over is the controller dead zones, and this is something you're gonna need to play around with yourself to kind of get the proper feel. But the ones that you should focus on, I'd say, are the vertical dead zone left and then vertical dead zone right. So if you don't know what vertical dead zones are, I'll show you the maximum. So minimum, you can have it at 10 and the maximum is 90. So I'd recommend on the lower end of the dead zone. And why is that? So the dead zone, if you haven't ever played around with this setting before, the dead zone on the lower side basically means the controller is going to register an input a lot faster. So to put it another way, the lower the dead zone that you have, the more accurate and responsive that your gameplay is going to feel. Because, like, hey, nobody likes misinputs in games, right? Nobody likes misinputs, so this is something, again, play around with yourself, kind of feel around with it, what you got, but default it's going to be on 60. So that is something, I think, I'm probably around a 30 myself, but I don't think anyone cares about my personal preference, but that's just me. But again, play around with this setting yourself, figure out what's right for you, but this is something you're definitely going to play around with. And then since we're right here as well, at the very bottom, tap jump. Now, if you don't know what tap jump is where you hit your analog stick up and you will end up jumping. Now, for me, this is going to be clicked off. I do not want this on. I hate tap jump. There's times where maybe I can be a little bit clumsy with my thumb or something and I end up hitting the analog stick, so I do not want this on. So for example, if this is on and you go to, say, run to the left or run to the right, and then you end up clicking up on the stick by accident, well, you're going to jump, and that could kind of throw off your timing and everything. So this is, again, kind of a personal preference. I know if you come from Smash Bros at all, platform fighters, Smash especially, they have a tap jump option. So if you like it, make sure you turn it on. If you don't, well, by default, it should be turned off. Now for the dodge button, because this, again, is pretty crucial to a lot of people's gameplay style. So again, we mentioned Smash with the last option with the tap jump. So if you come from Smash and you like your shield button, or in this case, your dodge button, a lot of people are going to prefer the, well, shoulder buttons or your trigger buttons. So for example, all you got to do is come down to dodge, press the A or the X or the cross button on whatever controller you're using. And then after you see the three little loading dots, press the corresponding button that you want. So for me, it's going to be R2. Bam. R2 is now my primary dodge. You can have a secondary dodge button if you want, so that's up to you. But dodge button, again, for every single every single controller setting, all you got to do, click it once, you'll see the dots, and then click the corresponding button that you want. So next up is the directional pad or the analog stick, whichever one you feel more comfortable with. You know, set it up how you will, but by default it is set up on the analog stick. But if you are dare we say, a pro, I don't want to say pro gamer, but like if you're into more traditional fighters, you might like the D-pad as your movement. So if you want that, again, press that up, hit up on the D-pad, bam, now it is registered, so your D-pad can be all of your movement if that's what you want. But then what happens is your taunts are technically tied to your D-pad by default, so that's going to end up changing to something else. So if you still want to use taunts from time to time, make sure you throw your taunts on something else that you're not using, a different button on your controller that you're not using. But for me, I really don't mind the analog stick, so I'm just going to keep it as that. Right, whoopsies, see, now I'm getting all messed up, but you get it. You can switch the direction from analog stick to the D-pad if that's how you feel like, well, using for movement. Next thing you're going to want to play around with, and trust me, I did this a lot during the open beta, the closed alpha, the tech test, but the option is there. So go down to interface over on the left, and then you got many options. So the first one's scoreboard position, again, preferential. Some people like it on top, some people like it on the bottom. Some people don't mind switching positions. But you got your option. Choose from either one of those two, whichever fits your, I guess, play style or visually speaking, whichever feels better to you, looks better to you in this case. So I think I usually go with bottom. That works better for me, so that's what I'm going to have it as. But then you got the other things like damage position. It could be attached to your player, so as you're moving around wherever your player goes, the little damage number underneath the character is going to follow you around. So if that's distracting, you could put the damage on the scoreboard, for example. So that's actually pretty cool. Of course, keep it on player. You could even have it on both if you really want to. My personal, I guess, I don't want to say, well, it is my preference, yes, but I put mine on the scoreboard. That way I can kind of have everything in like one spot, so I don't need to keep looking all over the screen for everything. So cooldown is what is referred to as certain moves have a cooldown, so you can use them and then you'll have to wait, a set amount of time before you can end up using the attack once again. So cooldown position is again something that will be displayed either underneath the character, or you can put it on the scoreboard, or both. Again, preferential, but choose whichever one you see fit. Like I said, for me, I prefer everything kind of in one spot. Maybe I might put this on the player because I'll be kind of viewing and watching my player for the most part, well, as also trying to watch my opponent. But, this, again, make sure you play around with this, whatever you feel fit, that fits your play style, I should say. And then player name position as well. Both just down on the scorecard, wherever. It's your option. It's your option. Same thing with the color. This is going to be a big one. There will be some people that will not like the outlines on the characters, and you can see them up top. But my character, so for my color, I would be the Shaggy in this case on the screen, and they got me as what? Is that yellow? I'm colorblind, so I think that's yellow. But they have me as yellow. You can change it to whatever color you want, which is good. Some people, ally team color, maybe change this to the same thing that you are. That way you will always know, okay, I'm always yellow team. Enemy team color if you want. Is there a way to turn that off? Show my, oh, there we go. Show enemy outline, yes. You can actually turn the outline off way down at the bottom. So for example, put you and your teammate always will have an outline so you know where you and your teammate are. Because during the course of battle, things can get a little hectic out there. Maybe you kind of lose track of where somebody is. So if you have your team always glowing or with the outline and the enemy team with no outlines, this will help separate and make the viewing pleasure during the battle a lot more easy for you. And well, isn't that what we want to do with the settings? Next, couple settings actually. If you plan on streaming or making content, probably turn streamer mode off just to be safe. Again, if you want to, doesn't matter. That only applies to people trying to make content on the game. But the other one, there will be people that will not have a problem with mature language, maybe a few curse words from time to time. I'm going to have mine on because it makes it, for me, it makes the characters, or at least a few characters, say like Rick Sanchez, for example, he will drop I don't know, does he drop an F-bomb? I don't even remember. But whatever he might say, it makes him feel a little bit more authentic to his character. I haven't even heard all the voice lines for Rick yet. I just realized that. Oh, I need to hear that. But the point is, turn this on or off. It's going to be off by default, but if you want to hear a bit more mature, plus you get, if this is on and you don't mind this type of stuff, you do get some more dialogue, more voice lines that you don't normally hear. So, I mean, I guess that could be an added bonus if you want to look at it that way. Now going over to the online/legal side of the settings, this is going to be kind of, again, I keep saying this for everything, but it's preferential. So there's an option at the very top, auto party with teammate. So if you play 2v2s and at the end of the match, you will automatically be paired up with your teammate. If you don't want that, just click it off. No problem. Sometimes you're going to get teammates. I just dropped my phone. Nice. But sometimes you will get teammates that you don't want to be teamed with, so maybe it's better to have this off. Again, choose it if you will, choose it if you don't want. It doesn't matter to me. But then this is where you can also turn on crossplay for console only. Just have it off or enabled altogether. I don't mind crossplay, so I'm going to have mine enabled. But those are a few of the options that you should really check out and make sure your gameplay setting is good to go. Controller, interface, I guess audio, language, and then the legal. Those four are going to be the main ones you want to play around with. So hopefully this, I don't want to call it a guide, but maybe it's a guide, but hopefully this little video did help you in some way. So that is it for this one. Get out there, enjoy Multiversus on day one launch, and maybe I'll see you on the battlefield.